Welcome back to Front Row Cinema, a movie podcast for movie lovers by movie lovers. I am your host, Tito Trimboli, and today we are talking Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, the final installment in the greatest action franchise of all time. I dare you to find one better. The Final Reckoning is a 2025 action adventure film directed by Christopher McQuarrie from a script by himself and Eric Jenderson and starring Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, and Simon Pegg. Now, I saw the movie this past Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, May 24th, packed house, 9:45 p.m. showing, raucous crowd. Everyone was hyped, and it was an experience. You could hear a pin drop during the submarine scene, and the cheers during the plane sequence are just two reasons I love seeing a movie with a crowd. And a resounding success all across the board for this movie. 80% on Rotten Tomatoes with an A minus cinema score. Absolute win right there. We're going to have some legs. We're going to do some business. Stellar Memorial Day weekend here, joining Lilo and Stitch to create the biggest Memorial Day weekend of all time and a personal best for the Mission Impossible franchise. We're talking 79 million over the 4-day weekend. Just an absolutely just phenomenal haul right there. And we're going to dive into all our good stuff and our feelings on this movie. I think the biggest thing to note is that this movie will not reach the highs set by some of the other movies here. We're talking, obviously, I think in my regard, and I think a lot of, from what I see online from people, is that Fallout is the absolute pinnacle of this franchise. I don't think anything will ever be better than what Fallout did. That thing was the absolute peak, and I think at that point, after Fallout, Christopher McQuarrie probably should have bowed out to other places, and if they were going to continue and do another one, bring somebody else in, because I don't know how that man could ever top it. And now after getting these last two ones where it's their swan song, I can firmly say that was where you probably should have peaked for Christopher McQuarrie. Which is not to say that, Dead Reckoning or The Final Reckoning are bad movies by any stretch. They are actually like very, very, very good movies. It's just that like it does not nearly coalesce to just everything that worked so well in that movie. And I think that brings me to probably what is like my biggest gripe with this movie is in its first hour and its villain. And so we'll tackle those one each at a time. I think we'll start with the villain because that's an overarching one that extended from Dead Reckoning. It was an issue I had in Dead Reckoning, and it's an issue that I still have in this movie. Is that I do not like the entity as a villain. I don't like a just like computer in the ether villain that Ethan can't ever interact with or actually like have scenes with and fight. And Gabriel as the just like human stand-in to just be something that he could bounce off with because he can't bounce off with the entity feels just like such a cop out and just like cheap. I like it just I don't like it. I never liked it in any movie that they do it. Like there's always has to be like a manifestation. Like what works so well in like Terminator is that yes, Skynet is like an evil computer kind of like the entity, but the difference is that Skynet found a way to create and mobilize this entire army of itself to be like a manifestation of itself that actually is something that people need to fight and worry about in like the Terminators, and there's just none of that here. Like Gabriel has none of like the viciousness or like stand in for like what the entity can like pose as a threat at all throughout this movie. And even like in this movie especially, like Gabriel isn't even working for the entity. He goes into business for himself because the entity turns on him for like shit in the bed and Dead Reckoning. Like which makes it like even worse. So like I get why, because like the entity was a way to build to what needs to be like the ultimate stakes for the last movie, which is like nuclear annihilation. But I feel like we could have gotten there without the entity. Like we still could have had just like a regular person that we have to deal with that can still cause these things to happen. Like I don't know that it needed to be the entity is running things as much as it is, because it doesn't give any fun for Ethan to bounce off of, and it makes a lot of the dialogue like so absolutely insane because it's so annoying every time in this movie where they're like, we can't do this because that's what the entity is expecting you to do it, so I have to do this because this is what the entity would lead. And it's just like I hate conundrums and like convoluted nonsense like that because it's just word, like it's just diarrhea of the mouth. Like it's like none of it has any stakes, none of it really like hits or lands how you want it to, and it's like thoroughly disappointing every time like they dive into stuff like that within the movie. Um, the second point that we brought up is the first hour of this movie. The first hour of this movie is an absolute slog. I don't think I've seen a movie in recent memory that had so much exposition in its first half while also racing through so many things happening within the first 45 minutes that just like have like no real like through line at all. It's just shit happening because like things need to happen. Like they jump so many spots within like the first couple of scenes, like all over the planet, that it's just like it's speed running so quickly without slowing down, while also giving us the most mind-bogglingly like slow exposition as possible. And it's a shame because like I don't feel like any of it really needs to be there. Like to me, this movie starts, and it really should start with Ethan being brought in to the cabinet where he meets with the president and her cabinet. That's where this movie starts to me. And I don't think we need all of the stuff that comes before it. Like you can move the Luther stuff later, and everything else before that can just go. Like you can do like a quick montage in the beginning of like where the world is at right now with everybody on the brink of just like rioting and shit like that, and then get right into the meat and potatoes, which is Ethan is being brought in now because he's got the cruciform key, and everyone's trying to make a bid of like what they're going to do for it. And the president realizes that the only thing that can be done is to unleash Ethan and let him do his thing, and we're off to the races, and the movie can start from there. Because if you cut out that whole like first 40 to 45 minutes of this movie and you start with that and you build into there, like, and you put some of the Luther stuff later, we've got a fucking movie. Because to me, everything from when Ethan is given this mission from the president and to the end of this movie, I'm so along for this ride. Like that's when the movie kicks on for me, and everything after that, like all the stunt work and everything that goes into it, like actually feels like a movie with a plot where we're chugging along and actually has like stuff that I'm in for and I'm building up with and I'm along for the ride. So like that to me is where I feel like the movie should start. Everything before that just feels like so unnecessary, and like and a lot of it you could push after because like what are the big things that happen before that? You know, Gabriel taunts Ethan into like getting the poison key or whatever it is, and sacrificing Luther. That could happen after this meeting in the beginning. They break Palm Clementif out of like prison. That can happen after this portion in the movie. Like it's just weird the way this movie just like jumps around everything in the beginning before it really can settle in and let you breathe and like you can go along for the ride. So like that first whole thing like threatens to derail you in from a movie that normally is like pretty solidly linear. That it was just a very odd choice to make for like this final movie. My last thing that I'm going to go in the gripe section is Luther's demise. I'm not against Luther's demise. I'm not against Luther dying. Honestly, I think there should have been more death throughout the Mission Impossible franchise to give some stakes here. So like again, I'm not against them killing him. I just think that the way they did it was just like again very like fast and didn't really give it time to like actually like have some like meaning, because especially since we've been along for this ride with Ving Rhames from the first one, I think we should have like built up to this, because like it's just weird that the movie starts and he's just like seems like he's got like cancer or something. I don't know, like he's sick or whatever. Like, and they're keeping him in this like underground like medical like bunker. So like it was just like it was just weird stuff that had no explanation whatsoever and just kind of like sped through it, like so you never really got any bearings on it. That like I couldn't really get emotionally invested in the way that I wanted to, because like Luther has been a character who's been around since the beginning that I'm into, and I should feel something about the fact that you killed this guy, and I don't. I don't feel anything throughout this movie. The fact that you got rid of him, which is like is a shame. Like that absolutely should not be the case whenever you're sacrificing a character that's been around for 8 movies. So that was a swing and a miss there also for me. But thankfully, like I said, once this movie really actually kicks on after the moment with the president in the cabinet and she releases Unthan to go do his thing, this movie kicks into high gear and is absolutely awesome. The two stunt pieces in this movie are some of the best stunt work ever put to film. Like it is mind-blowing watching those scenes and knowing that he did those practically and just the way that they were done. Like the biplane scene is like literally edge of your seat, like insanity. Because every time that plane flips or every time he's hanging on a wing, like you know that he actually did that and is hanging that high above the ground doing that. And it's just like that is like absolutely insane that anybody just for our sheer entertainment could just be like, I'm gonna do that because like people in the audience deserve a thrill. And like that is that like how can you hate a movie and a person and like an actor that like will go that above and beyond for your entertainment for people that he'll never meet for the most part. Most of these people he'll never meet me probably ever in my life, but he was just like, I'm gonna go up into the air and do all that crazy shit because god damn it, TJ's gonna go to that theater one night and he's gonna sit in the theater and he's gonna be expected to be amazed and I'm gonna fucking amaze that man. So it's like it's insanely impressive. The submarine stunt also is so good. Like I love the fact that there's like zero music throughout the entire scene and it's just silent and you can hear a pin drop because again you're on the edge of your seat just watching this whole thing unfold as he tries to sneak through this submarine that's slowly slipping down further and further into this trench into the Bering Sea and knowing that he's got to get in, get the source code and get out like and it's just like it's so thrilling. Like the two stunt pieces are just above and beyond absolutely incredible in this movie. Another thing that I love, a dude that I never really had seen in anything before. Apparently, he's on Severance. I haven't watched Severance. I know I'm terrible with TV, people. Cut me some slack. I'm a movie guy. But Tremel Tillman as Captain Jack Bledsoe, who is the man on the submarine that picks up Ethan to take him through the Bering Sea to where this submarine is that he's going to have to get into. This dude is so good. His banter with Ethan is amazing, and I just love his character of this guy who has no idea who this dude is. He just finds out he's gonna pick up a dude in the middle of the Bering Sea, lead him to this submarine, teach him how to quickly deep sea dive, and then send him on his way. And you're not even gonna know like if he's successful or not. And like every time he interacts with like Ethan Hunt is just so good. I love the fact that he never even knows his name. He just calls him Mister. And every time he does anything, like, and you just see the shock on like his face, where he's just like, Mister, like, what are you talking about? Like, he is far and away some of the best fun to be had in this movie. His character is so much fun in this movie. The last thing that I can really touch on in this movie that I think is worth mentioning is I love that they gave closure and redemption to my man Dunlow from the first movie. For all of us that did our marathoning before watching the new one, Dunlow was the dude who was operating the Black Vault at Langley in the first movie that Ethan Hunt breaks into. And when he breaks into this, they ship Dunlow off to an Alaskan data facility where like he's just going to be like hidden away for like letting this happen. Which is like such a crime. And not only is that a crime, but like the way that they get him out of the Black Vault is to just give him like violent diarrhea and like vomit and like vomiting that it's just like they did that dude so dirty and like what he gets out of it is to be shipped off to Alaska. So it's so great to see him show back up here and like for that to like have that payoff is like really funny and I really like the way that they did that. But also to just give him that moment of redemption where he can also be a hero after all this is fantastic. I loved it. I'm very happy with that one. Really enjoyed that cathartic end for my man Dunlow. And that's really the big points that I could talk about with this movie. It's still absolutely a movie you should see on the biggest screen possible. This movie is an absolute thrill in the theater. Check it out with a big crowd. It's not going to hit the highs of the greatest of this franchise, but it's still like an absolutely fantastic movie and leagues better. Like this movie, even at its worst, is still better than like 90% of the other generic action movies that get put out like week over week in theaters today. So like I would rather take this movie, frustrations and all, than a large majority of other action movies that I sit through. So this movie is absolutely something you should get out and go see on the biggest screen possible. I'm going to go for it though. We're going to give an overall score right down the middle of the road again, like we said, 3 out of 5 stars. It does some fantastic things in its set work, but it is like definitely frustrating at times, and it is hurt immensely by that first act. But all those things aside, still an epically fun finale, And we'll see if it actually ends up being the finale. You know, they're saying it is now, or we're hyping it up as it is now, but like, God knows if Tom's gonna get an itch in another couple of years or whatever, and decide to like round the band back up together. It could happen. But now I turn it over to you, people. Go out, check these movies out for yourself, and make sure you form your own opinions here. Never just trust mine. No one's gonna know what you like more than you. And as always, see you at the movies.